Me llamo es Eric Wingman Peterson. ¿Cómo estás? Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Wingman's Hangar, episode 49. 1 week away from our 1-year anniversary. Now, most people have realized that there are 52 weeks in a year. And so they're like, how can 50 be our anniversary? Well, we had 2 weeks where we skipped. One was over Thanksgiving last couple weeks ago. And then there was another time we skipped, I believe, over the live stream in the summer. So that's why. But we're going to be there. We're going to have some fun next week. But that's not about now. It's about now. Let's talk about what we got this week. We got the week in review. We got an interview with Jason Spangler to talk a little bit about client-side persistence. We, of course, have forum feedback. And we have the new hit segment, 10 for the Chairman. It's going to be fun. Stay with us. What is going on the week in review? Well, we had a new Hangar patch yesterday. We're preparing for a bigger one next week. Now, some people have said, oh, it was only a trophy case or a few things. Well, but the big thing for us is we cleaned up a lot of issues left over that have been, as we move through this development process, people work on different things for like dogfighting or for any other planet side or any social module, all the things we're doing, and it nerfs or breaks other portions of the code, so you need a big cleanup. This was a big cleanup patch for us, and it sets us up for going forward for a much bigger patch next week. So get ready for that. So enjoy it, but there's more to come. We also have an interesting studio report from our friends down in Mexico.
StarCitizen project lead artist here at Itorbeh. You may remember us from some of the earliest demos of this great adventure. Hornet, Pilot, and the Carrier. I'll show you a quick behind the scenes of some of the assets we're working on. This way. Over here is the concept area. And this is the StarCitizen team. Say hi to the audience, guys. Jorge here is working on some lighting stuff to get some nice shots. Camus is reproportioning our parts pilot to fit the new style. Hey Gabi, what are you working at?
Hey everybody, so I'm working out the white box and integrating the exterior of the Peterson.
Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this visit here at Itorbeh. Back to you, Eric.
Well, that's a pretty good report right there. And,
yeah.
And I'm sorry we had to redact that little bit there, but some things we just don't want them to see yet. Yeah. So we got Ben here. Ben, you as you guys know, Mr. Lesnick.
I'm here early today.
You're here early today? Yeah, we're going to be here later too, though, so don't need to panic. He'll still be here.
Plenty of Ben.
Plenty of Ben. So
Too much, even.
Nah, there's no such thing. So we had some big updates in the forums, and we wanted to come out and let folks know what they're about, and so tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we're making a lot of changes to the forums, trying to get them improved. As the community gets bigger and bigger, it's more to manage, but over the last few weeks, we've been coming up with a new set of rules with the community to try to keep things clean and organized and keep everybody happy.
That's true. The community voted, or they sort of told us what they wanted out of the rules, right?
Yeah, what we did was we set up a number of rules. We said, how do these sound? We left them for public comment, and people wrote in with great ideas, changes, things they thought would be trouble. And we didn't just do forum rules. We also did responsibilities for the moderators so that we can keep them honest, because we don't want people punished for no reason. We don't want you to not understand what's going on. We want you to be comfortable with the community. Yeah, because
as we grow as a community, which is thanks to you, it's doing a really good job, and Chris, Sandi, and everybody else, it makes us a bigger target for certain things, right? I mean, the internet is a scary place.
You know, when we started out a year ago, we had some very simple rules that were basically be good, treat each other kindly.
Be kind, yeah.
And, you know, honestly, 99% of citizens did exactly that. You guys did an amazing job over the past year. It's people from outside coming in saying, "Oh, I'm gonna screw with these guys. I'm gonna cause trouble," and that's what we want to get rid of, really. But our serious forum users are doing an amazing job contributing, helping us make StarCitizen.
So, what's been the reaction so far?
It's been
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. There you go. Very, very cool. And now, guess what time it is? It's time People have been asking about this, but it's time. It's an update from the Next Great Starship.
Awesome.
So let's take a look at an update from the Next Great Starship.
Hey everybody, I am here with Mark Skelton, our art director and one of our coveted judges for the Next Great Starship. So, have you always been able to draw? I've seen a lot of drawings in your office.
I used to love drawing as a kid. I used to get in trouble at school for drawing in my math books. It definitely, with me, it was like from very early on, I had to draw. I had to sculpt, I had to goof around, I had to make art. I don't know, it was just a driving passion with me. Comic books. I still love comic books. I'm such a geek like that. And I'll go, like last weekend, I just went to, I snuck out of the house, didn't take the kids, but I went to a comic book store. Learned about, kind of in reverse, perspective and composition and all that. It all came out of comic books.
How much is it talent, and then how much is, what kind of discipline do you need for...
The thing about it is, I have known quite a few artists that are completely self-taught, that have completely circumvented school and, taught themselves over the internet and YouTube, just taught themselves how to use, 3D software and how to draw and stuff. And honestly, at the end of the day, what we're looking for is portfolio. Initially, what you have to give me is something that feels right, that is compositionally correct when I look at it.
So how do you guys work your process together?
I do what he tells me. That's all.
I just tell him what to do.
So it works out perfect, see? Ships can be symmetrical, they can be asymmetrical, they can have a utilitarian purpose, they can be stylish.
The good thing is that it's sort of multiple eyes on something, so you get different views. And I think that's sort of... Yeah, probably in different, we're going to, obviously, this is very subjective for the most part. Obviously, the whole goal is to please who? Chris Roberts, right? In the end. So, but we're going to give our honest opinions about what we feel is good design.
So which one of you is going to be the softy judge?
Oh, God, I think it's going to change, I don't know.
I'm sure we'll have our favorites, and it'll be like, oh, don't be so hard on him, and he'll be like, ow. There's so many different kinds of ships that work, but the ships that work the most for me are the ships that have stories to them. You got to put something in it that makes me look at it and want to know more, and that's what makes a good ship for me.
Wow, thanks a lot from Mark and Sandi. That was wonderful. Remember to get your entries in by December 31st of this year. It's going to be a really, really fun time. And I brought in a special guest today, Jason, CTO Jason. We're going to talk a little bit about, we had a Hangar patch that came out yesterday, and we want to explain, people, it's not a big visual patch, right? But it is pretty big as far as client-side persistence, and so I wanted you to kind of explain to people what that means.
So it's the first part of persistence overall in the game, or the game engine part. We've added basically the interface that the game engine will use for persisting things when we have the persistent universe later, and it will interface with rest of the universe cluster. But for now, we actually have it running on the client. Paul Reindell, the lead engine programmer in LA, implemented this, where it will basically, when you change the things on your ship or change things in the hangar, it will save some data locally on your system to remember where you put where you move the weapons or things, and we're going to make more use of this in the near future.
Right, that's like step one, right? Mm-hmm. So that it allows people, a lot of things people wanted to do is, it helped, there's a couple of reasons. One is they want to be able to customize or make things their own, mm-hmm. right? And this will allow them to do that. We've got some stuff coming up next week, which we won't talk about, mm-hmm. that we'll be able to test this mm-hmm. issue. And we're going to need your guys' help to help test it. And then also, it is, as you said, the first step into the big persisting. Now, we're not going to handle it that way in the full game eventually, right? How are we going to handle persistence for the most part?
In the real game, in the full game of the persistent universe, that persistence will move out of the client, and that code will end up being used on the server instead, in the game servers. And then that code will talk between the game engine and the game code and the persistent services in the universe cluster. and they will handle the saving and loading of it. So it won't actually be on the client anymore.
Right, so that whenever you wanted to say something like, place your lamp, it would stay,
Yes.
right? Well, what do you think? Should we hit a red button? Grab that red button over there. So why don't you hit that button and make the lamp stay? There you have it. Client-side persistence right before your very eyes. Well, thanks, Jason. I appreciate it. And now it'll be time for... Feedback. That's a big head. All right. Let's get right to it. We got Rob and we got Ben, and let's go right straight to it. From Burkow, he says, why do some fighters have guns located so far from their plane of symmetry? We get that question a lot, so who's taking this one?
Well, I just thought it was to look cool, but Rob may
They
have
do
a
look
answer.
cool. That's a good answer. They look cooler that way.
They do look cool.
But also, if you think about it, convergence is a big deal. Where you're shooting and how far ahead of you you're shooting is important. If you have your ship guns right in the middle, then they can't point at anything close. They have to point way out in front of you.
Oh, I
If they're
see.
out here, they can converge on a point closer to you, so it's more accurate.
Cool. Well, there you go. All right. From Solus Obscuri. Well, it wouldn't be a show if I didn't butcher somebody's name.
That
Solus
says John.
John. Yes. From Solus Obscuri. Just what does a Joker sucker punch distortion cannon do?
You did a pretty good job of smoothly pronouncing that
I
one.
know. Yeah.
So distortion cannons are different than regular lasers and other weapons in that they are intended to target the pipes of a ship rather than the actual equipment on the ship. So
Ooh, right in
they
the
reduce
pipes.
energy,
Right in the pipes. Take one right in the pipes.
reduce energy flow or increase heat or what have you. In this case, these are energy reduction weapons.
Oh, that's cool. All right. From Slider.
Oh, welcome aboard the Yellow Jacket, Wingman. When I'm not a mercenary, I'm also an inventor, and I have a question. If we invent stuff, can we see it in the persistent universe?
We just did a little bit about persistence. Ben, what do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, part of our plan is that if you create some amazing mod, some new ship, something that improves StarCitizen, and you bring it to us and we say, oh, that's awesome, we want it in the persistent universe, we're going to work out a way for that to happen.
That is true. It'd be really fun, and that's something that is important to us as we create the tools for making the game. Which is what we're doing now. Is we're keeping an eye on making those very moddable and mod friendly for people. So that's high on our list because we want you guys to help us create the game, not just help us test it, but eventually, it's going to go. If we do it right, we go forever. We're looking to do it right, so we want you involved. From Mushroom Cloud. There are some systems with looming cataclysmic events, i.e. Tyrol going supernova. Will players be warned before something like this happens, or will their redacted be blown to smithereens?
Warned.
Warned.
Well, there's a funny thing about events like that. If you figure if we've developed space travel, right, then anytime anything like that's getting ready to happen, all the scientists will be like, I need a ride to Tyrol right now because I want to go watch the Starco supernova.
Right.
So when the scientists start gathering, go the other direction.
No, that's true. It's important. There's going to be a lot more cataclysmic events and interesting things happening in the persistent universe that, and we'll be having game managers that constantly change and update things over time. So
Forever and ever and ever and ever and
awesome! I can't stinking wait.
We're going to blow all of you up.
That's right, yeah.
Man!
It's the Big Bang. The StarCitizen Big Bang. From Darth Angelus. There's been some great concept art on the news posts recently, especially in the letters from the chairman. Ooh, any chance we could see some of those pieces being made available for desktop wallpapers?
I think we can make that happen. In fact, this afternoon I will put up a little gallery with all the full resolution art from those recent chairman posts, and you guys can do what you will with them.
Very, very cool.
Awesome.
And I have to admit, some of the art we're getting on this thing is...
It's amazing. I want to play this game.
A lot of the desktops
Me
around
too.
this office have
That's
our
true.
art on them.
Yep. From Timberwolf. So that's a pretty cool question. What types of ammo will there be for ballistic weapons? Are there going to be different types?
Yeah. They're the hard ammo weapons have a lot of different ammo types. We'll be telling you more about them later.
And that's
I didn't say
interesting.
soon.
You didn't say soon. And the funny thing is, they might get a chance to play around with some of those weapon types. When?
Soon.
Soon. That's a good question. From Yoko, and not the Yoko, maybe not. Last week in episode 48, when it was the most valuable post, just at the end, you saw a mini toy action figure of the Constellation. Is this a prototype for the USB model, or is CIG thinking of making action figure model kits for all of us to buy?
That is actually the prototype of the 12-inch model that some of the higher-end packages will be receiving when the game ships. And we're certainly thinking of making models like that available for sale in the future because we saw that and it's just really cool in person.
It is cool, and apparently it flies in omnidirections.
Well, it's because it has the thrusters and physics and,
and all that
good
stuff.
Yeah.
From Loggerhouse Johnny. As StarCitizen is having the aspiration to be as realistic as possible, while still focusing on good gameplay, why is every alien race humanoid in form? That's a good question. Anybody want to take that?
Well, if we just made them all untextured cubes, it would save us a lot of work.
That's true.
We can make Star Minecraft or whatever.
Invisible aliens.
Well, the truth, the aliens they've seen have been very human in form, and a lot of that has to do with piloting the ships. I mean, you want to be able to get in the ships and fly all these things, and so you need to be able to reach the controls unless you look like Short Round from Indiana Jones trying to reach the pedals or something. So.
And we know you guys want to fly the alien ships based on
yeah.
the number of Vanduls and
That's right.
Zion and Banus that have sold.
There you go. All right, from another one of our better contributors, from Batgirl. Take it away.
Hey Eric, Rob, and Ben. This is Nikki Batgirl D'Angelo, and I just have a quick question. My ships get dirty, my ships get broken, someone blows off a wing, and maybe a tire pops. Is there going to be somebody that I can hire and keep in my hangar, kind of like a mechanic?
There you go. So, hangar repair mechanic.
Yes, actually, in fact, some folks who backed early in the game already have repair bots, which are going to be showing up in the future, and they will be around to help repair your ships. Maybe your gray cat buggies if you manage to mess those up sufficiently.
Banging around your hangar into your own ships. The scratch and dent area.
But by the way, if you want even more Ben, I was on Batgirl's podcast, StarCitizen Anonymous, this week. So if you want to really get to know me, check that out.
More Ben.
More Ben. This is like the All Ben show. She wants you. This is all Ben's like all day here. Okay, so, and now speaking of Ben, guess what time it is?
Ben.
Time for the most
valuable
post. Hey everyone, welcome to MVP, Most Valuable Post. I'm here to tell you what the best post at the RSI forums this week was. The honor this time goes to Itorbeh for his hilarious thread, Why StarCitizen is Willy Wonka and We Are the Children. It is a good point, it's hilarious, and the artwork he's created is amazing. Check out Chris as Wonka himself, and then of course Rob, Eric, and I as Oompa Loompas, which is entirely appropriate. Now, moving on, I'd like to take a moment to talk about the new forum rules, and I'd like to do a little bit differently.
Oompa Loompa doopity doo. I've got new forum rules for you. Oompa Loompa doopity dee. If you are wise, you'll listen to me. What do you get when you post with bad manners? If you're not careful, you'll get the Ben hammer. So just be good and you will go far, helping us build this great StarCitizen. Doopity-Itizen.
Great.
What have I let myself become? Back to you, Eric.
Thanks, Ben. I think. And now, what we've all been waiting for, it's time for the next edition of 10 for the Chairman.
Hey everyone, welcome to the second episode of 10 for the Chairman. So just to recap, we take 10 questions every week from subscribers who are the incredible, generous part of our community that put up money every month that we use for Jump Point, for doing our community content, increased video stuff, which you're going to see more and more. This is part of what we're starting to do in LA now. So thank you all out there, the subscribers that are helping us do this. As such, we're going to answer 10 questions from subscribers every week. So first question up is from Villa Ovi. When dogfighting module is released, do you need to own the ship if you want to fly it? Are you able to test all the ships which have already been made in the game? So the concept with the dogfighting module is you should be able to fly the ships that you have in your hangar out there in the dogfighting module. So generally the answer would be no, you need to own them. Although I will have the caveat that in the very early stage of the dogfighting module, we are not going to have every one of the ships to the stage that they can actually dogfight. So yes, you can climb in them, you can see them in the hangar, but there's a lot of extra detail that goes into the ships. There's all the different like items, the thrusters, the damage states, the damage models that have to be done for the ships, and that just takes a lot of work and effort. So we are probably going to be a case where we will maybe only have one ship or two ships at the beginning, and then it will increase. So the Hornet's the one we're focusing on right now, and obviously like things like HUD change for different ships and all the rest of stuff. So there may be a case where at the very beginning we just give everyone basically can fly the same ship, and we just put a temporary sort of test Hornet in the hangar, and they get into that and they do the dogfighting module. But longer term, it should really, like the ships you can take to play in arena mode against other people would be the ones you should own in the hangar. Okay, next question. Premium Cabanu asks, will we be able to transfer subscreens from our cockpit, say radar, to second, third monitors in our computers? So we're definitely really interested in sort of second screen support. So we're looking at like being able to do that on say a tablet that you have, where you could put like one of the VDUs from your cockpit to that. And we're also, I think it will be interesting to explore it on a multiple monitor situation. Although, when I've talked about this, just to be sure, this won't be functional in the dogfighting, and it's a longer term goal for the game. So the idea would be we'd have some of that when the game's fully done. So maybe it would roll out as part of the dogfighting as it improves over time, but not at the beginning. But yeah, we would like to do that spot. We think it would be great. So next question. Midget asks, can NPCs fly on their own while you are still online? So I'm not 100% sure what the specific of the question is. I mean, NPCs definitely can fly on their own. I think the question probably relates to if you have some NPCs working for you, what do they do? If you're online, if they're flying on your wing or manning your ship, then yes, they're definitely doing their stuff and they're doing their functionality. If you have logged off, no, the NPCs that are working for you aren't off there, running a business for you. I think you need to be online to have the NPCs you've hired be actually doing their stuff. Okay, on to the next one. Obsidian asks, there were a couple of threads with overwhelming support to go with the MMO-ready backend and single player versus AI, and I'd like to know if Chris has made a final decision yet as to which way he's going to go for the dogfighting module. Yeah, I mean, that's, this is a good illustration of some of the things that are sort of going to crop up in the development stage, where when we get to a certain point, we can sort of make a choice of, okay, do we do it right? Do we do it the way that it's going to be in the final game, or do we hack something in right now just so we can give it to people? And my preference generally in that case is don't hack it, do it right. Because if you hack it, you put it in, you do work that you're going to have to throw away. And really part of the whole idea of the dogfighting module is to get it out there so we can test the back end and see how many people we can have in one area. See how fun it is flying the ships around. See whether the weapons are balanced correctly. And it's not really that useful if you're throwing out there with the back end that won't be your final back end. So I think I'm probably leaning towards doing it the proper way, although that potentially has impact on when everyone gets their hands on it, which I know there will be a fair number of people upset because they just want to play it early, which is cool, but I think let's do it right, because the goal is to build a great game, and I'm more focused on the final goal than sort of the details leading up to that, and things change as you go. So hopefully that answers the questions there. Next question is from Prince Cheps Trajan. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. What is the difference between TR1, TR2, TR3, etc.? And is there much difference between those levels? So TR1, TR2, TR3, and so on that's what we're calling the thruster rating. And the thruster rating is really a power band. Not all TR1s are the same. One's by a better manufacturer, ones that are overclocked, ones that are slightly higher grade could probably put out more thrust than, say, a cheapy low-end TR1, but you are pretty much guaranteed that a TR2 will be at a higher band than a TR1. So if you step up to a TR2, even the low end of that will put out more than the highest end of a TR1. And also when you go from TR1 to TR2, TR3, don't assume that it's a linear progression. So especially on some of the later thruster ratings, those can be geometric, where you're moving up to the capital ship sizes. A TR6 could be double what a TR5 is, for instance. So you should think of TR1, TR2, TR3. Think of them more like, say, a car engine where you have a V8, a V6, a V4, a V12, and obviously the ones with more cylinders probably put out more power, and they can easily put out more power than, say, a four-cylinder. But a four-cylinder can still be fairly powerful, and obviously there's a lot of variety in the power that four-cylinder engines can put out. And that's kind of the idea with the thruster ratings, is that a TR1 represents a band of thrusters of a certain level, and TR2 is like the step up, and TR3 is beyond that. Okay, on to the next question. Dread Pilot P asks, how close will the flight and combat model that we get in December be to the intended finished product? Will the envelope of what we do be basically set in stone, or more of a rough first version that we'll be getting tons of refinement and tweaks to the flight model as we go? Okay, so this kind of goes back to the question I answered from Obsidian, but the whole point of the dogfighting module is to get it out there to test a whole bunch of things, our back-end system, whether the flight control model's fun, whether the weapons are balanced correctly, or whether it's too overwhelming our system designer, we need it smaller. And so, as part of that, yes, nothing is really going to be fully set in stone. I mean, it's going to be our best first guess of what we think is fun, and we want to refine it from there. If something's really broken, obviously we're going to fix it. Hopefully stuff won't be too broken. I mean, I would like everyone out there to realize that the dogfighting module that they get, the first one, that's not it. That's not going to have all the features, it's not going to have all the functionality, it's going to have a limited amount of features and functionality, and then it's going to grow over the next year while we're working on the game. And so by the time the game is finished, the dogfighting will be finished and honed and everything. That's the process. So we're just sharing the process really early with all you out there in the community to make a better game. And so, in that case, as I was, answering to Obsidian, that also means that, we're not, the schedule for it may not be an exact science, because, there's not much point in testing something if we feel like, okay, well, we're not ready to test the multiplayer now, so, because we want to put it on the proper system instead of a sort of hacked-in system, so we'll give it to you a little later to test that bit. Okay, on to the next one. Beer for the Beer God, I guess likes a lot of beer. What would you say to backers who are concerned that there's no point in getting ships like the Caterpillar or Retaliator because the Constellation looks like it will be the best ship to have? I would say that that's silly, because I don't think there is a best ship in the game. They're all going to have different pros and cons. We're deliberately designing things so there is no best ship. So something like the Caterpillar, for instance, if you are more into sort of trying to board a bigger ship, take them over, a Caterpillar is definitely better for that than a Constellation. But also, all the different ships are going to have sort of different pros and cons. So for instance, bigger ships are cool because, you can have multiple people on them, you can have turrets walk around, but, bigger ships, just like in real life, won't be able to turn as fast or be as maneuverable as, say, a smaller ship will be. There isn't really a best for anything. There may be a best for this particular role, but it's sort of, I think, that's the beauty of StarCitizen. There are lots of different roles, lots of different things you can do. And we're very focused on having different roles and functions for the ships, so there'll be different kinds of play styles, all based on what you want to do. And so that's what I'm most looking forward to in the game, is to have this whole variety of ships. And some people may just want to be flying single-seater ships and focusing on dogfighting. People may want to be multiplayer, co-op, bigger ships, doing exploration or trading runs or whatever. So I think there's going to be a vast amount of play, and it'll be a lot of fun for everyone. Okay, next question. The True Lost asks, how entering dogfight will be handled? Will you start your ship in your hangar in an arena or spawn magically in space? Okay, so I kind of answered this on a previous subscriber question in last week's show, but essentially you start in your hangar. That's our entrance point to the game, is the hangar at the moment, and you'll be able to adjust your loadout on the holo table, and then you climb into the cockpit of your ship, and then you fire it up, and then as you fire it up, you basically are entering the dogfight mode, and so the hangar sort of, holodeck style disappears, and then you're in a in space, but it's really sort of a holodeck version of space. And that's how you, as you fly there, when you finish it, you come back into your hangar. So hopefully that answers that question well. Okay, next question. Dutch asked, how detailed will damage modeling be? Will angle of impact be taken into account when calculating armor penetration, with sloped armor having a chance to deflect shots? So damage modeling will be very detailed. I mean, we're doing, that's actually one of the issues with like getting everything ready for the dogfight, is that there's a huge amount of assets that have to be built besides just the ships you've seen. All the different pieces have to have multiple damaged parts at various levels of damage. There's a whole bunch of really cool graphical stuff that we're going to do for that, and we're modeling it pretty detailed too. So there will definitely be the angle of incidence of a projectile hitting armor and ship will count in terms of the damage, its penetration ability, all that. Now my goal is to have the actual base level of the game actually physically detailed and pretty, like to a level that I haven't done in one of my past games, and then just sort of have sort of the high-end ship control stuff. Make it easier to fly around and use, but underneath it all, it's all physically correctly modeled. So we're actually modeling like internal system damage. So if you have you have a targeting computer, avionics system, or a life support inside your ship, we actually have a place physically for it, and it has its own geometry and render geometry. And if a projectile goes through the shield, penetrates through the shield, and then penetrates through the armor, we actually trace that projectile, and it will, if it hits that system like it would hit it in the physical space, then that system takes damage and potentially gets damaged. So we're actually modeling all this in an extremely detailed way. So if you sort of know where the weak parts, the critical parts of another ship, you should have a bit of an advantage. Okay, last question we have today is from P. Kirkner, and his question is, what sorts of challenges is optimizing netcode for combat in true 3D space with 6 degrees of freedom presented? Are the issues presented by packet loss and high latency roughly comparable to a first-person shooter, or are you expecting this game to be more latency dependent? Packet loss, high latency, I mean, obviously high latency effects on any stuff, and packet loss, we definitely will be going back and forth with a lot of data because the ships are pretty heavy data-wise, have lots of moving parts. So that potentially could be an issue, but that's all the sort of stuff that we want to be working on and testing out, and that's the whole part of like the dogfighting module, and also really why we would want to have the final sort of back-end MMO, at least a rudimentary version of it, working for the dogfighting. There are advantages to the space sim part of StarCitizen or Squadron 42 in terms of sort of multiplayer and netcoding compared to a on-foot first-person shooter. Now, of course, we do have an on-foot first-person section, so that will have the same problems that you have in a Call of Duty or something. But basically, when you fly a ship, you literally, like, the problem with a first-person shooter is like I can be here and then I can step here and I can step here. So basically, the movements of your avatar can be fairly random and not very easy to predict. Whereas in a ship, you can't do that. You've got to like turn in the so essentially in sort of the spaceship scenario, you can actually do a much better job of predicting kind of where the player ship's going to be. Okay, hopefully I answered that question. So that brings us to the end of the second episode of 10 for the Chairman. Hopefully you enjoyed or found my answers informative, and I will see you next week.
Wow, I love those things. It's always good to see Chris doing that. And remember, these are subscriber questions, and subscribers are extremely generous and allow us to do things like Wingman's Hangar and Jump Point and 10 for the Chairman. So get your stuff answered by the man himself. Become a subscriber. Thanks a lot for that, Chris. Thanks to subscribers and pledgers. Don't forget you guys. Without you, we're not even here either. So that's incredibly important. You guys are all important to us, and you allow us to have a little bit of fun while we're making this epic game. And coming up this week, another Hangar patch. What? That's right, another Hangar patch with a lot more content. We had to get the client-side persistence in there. We had to get some tests in there. And now we'll be putting some stuff in there for you to test the client-side with, that you can play with, have some fun, kind of bling it out, make it yourself. Make it your own, rather. Planning the move at the end of the month. Right after we finish recording this, we're going over to the new site, and we're going to look it over. And the cool thing about the new office space, at least in Austin, is that we're getting a ton of things, like we're getting TVs on the walls, we're getting chairs, we're getting furniture, conference rooms. It really is a turnkey situation. All we really have to do is rewire it for ourselves and move the desks around and set it up. So it'll be goodbye to these glorious digs here, the basement, and it'll be hello to the penthouse, from the outhouse to the penthouse, and that's all thanks to you guys for sure. If you want your stuff featured on Wingman's Hangar, send it in. We just might use it. And by gosh, subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you guys get updated when it happens. You find out exactly when something's posted. We got a lot of stuff. Sandy's busy in her chemistry lab developing a bunch of stuff for the video coming up in the future year, the brand of StarCitizen, what we're going to be doing. And Next Great Starship is one of the first steps into that process. And 10 for the Chairman and Wingman's Hangar. We got a lot of stuff coming that follows what we're doing on the game, but allows you to kind of get a little closer to what's happening, and we want to bring you a little more into the fold if we can. Submit your questions for this thing on the RSI forums right here. Michael posts that below me through the magic of editing. Well done, Michael. Say hi.
Why, hello, thank you.
We saw your head earlier on forum feedback. Anyway, and come see Wingman's Hangover. About 15 minutes after the show, we do a hangover show. We hang in chat roll. We join, and I know there's only 500 spots in chat roll. Eventually, there'll be a lot more than that. That should be coming up, again, there's that word soon, but it's incredible. The new chat system is going to scale and allow us to have many, many more people in there, which will make it even more fun. I'm sure it'll probably make it feel like a fan with all the questions going up there like that, but who cares? It'll be fun. Join us for Wingman's Hangar 15 minutes after the show. And if you want your stuff featured on Wingman's Hangar, send it in. We just might use it. See you in the verse.